we leverage AI tools when we're developing solutions. And this applies to automations. It also applies to custom solutions, more heavily to that. But beyond that, we bring it into earlier phases of the process. So when you're working on a project, you've got ideas and requirements. They may come from customers, conversations, your own imagination. You need to plan that out. And we use user stories. That's the way we document and action our requirements. You've then got the development phase, which is building it. You've got testing and review. That includes technical review and having a look at the UI and seeing if it is what you expect. And then deployment. And there's a few different phases where we currently use Claude Code in particular. That's our AI of choice for now. We've used Windsurf and GitHub Copilot in the past. At the moment, Claude Code is the winner. We heavily are focusing at the moment on the planning and stories, development and testing and review. We'll probably expand into the other areas, into the ideas and requirements and deployment. But right now, planning and stories, development and testing and review. And that's what you're going to see today. So usually things start with some kind of request. That request may come from a client. That request may come from internal feedback. Wherever it comes from, it comes in a bit of an unstructured form. And this is great when we're using AI. Unstructured is what it's great at. And taking that information and using it in a chat is quite natural, but what we like to leverage is Claude Code. And the reason for that is it has agents that we can put together, which are really just based on prompts. And it's got deep, deep context in terms of it sits within and can look at the entire code base and solution. And we also maintain documentation in Markdown form within that solution, within what we're source controlling, which just gives it an unprecedented level of knowledge. We have various agents, as you see in a sec, and the Analyst agent is one we've set up to be the business analyst. I like to do it through interactive sessions. You don't have to, but we feed it the raw text from our request. And then from there, we go into giving it a little bit of additional information and guidance, whatever it is that we're after, and let it work out the high-level stories. But then it also gets into a lot of detail, and it goes into detail that you'd often perhaps forget or not have the available effort or energy to do as a human because commercial, constraints and things like that. Whereas it can really go into a loop and think about everything. We take what it generates, we do look at it. So before we get it to raise a bunch of stories and it's going to become our backlog for that piece of work, we check them out. This is just a really high level kind of view of it. As you see, it creates really detailed stories. So some here in GitHub, you can see that they've gone into a lot more detail than what's here. And they do things that you should do in your backlog, but often get left behind, like linking to dependent stories. This is massive. When you've got multiple agentic sessions going and you've got human developers picking up some stories without a clear mapping of what's dependent on various other pieces of functionality, it's hard to order and stagger that development. Claude Code, when it raises the stories, takes care of that. And yeah, as mentioned, raising GitHub. That's just my choice. You could raise it anywhere you want. I've got the GitHub CLI and as do other team members on their laptops. That means it can just raise it as us. You could use MCP servers or something else. But because it has access with Claude Code to your local system, we just found that that's a really efficient way to go. Then is perhaps the biggest part. We use a command and we use agents to build and we use specialists. We've found that if you break it down into the various functional areas and you've got specialists in certain technologies, specialists in certain types of areas such as application code and business logic or front-end coding or React as a library, and database experts, it just does better. And an orchestrator agent sitting over the top of all of those can go to whatever experts it needs as it's building that solution. It means you also get a little bit of a review loop even while you're building. Then code review, really critical. No matter how well it's built, there will be some things that you need to improve. You engage again through a command, a bunch of agents that we've already configured, as you can kind of see, and it goes through and does a really comprehensive review. And despite those agents being involved in the build, you'd be surprised what they find when you get into the AI-powered code reviews. And that gives us a set of actions that we can then iterate on one more time, similar to the build. We go once over it, and it's doing it based off really detailed feedback. So ways that specialist agents suggest to improve the code, the reasons behind it. And when you do a dev on top of the code review, sometimes you find some false positives, but most of the time you find really good areas of improvement, especially in and around security and performance. Maybe the two big key ones. And that takes us through the process in time that we've just never been able to achieve before, which lets us deliver to clients in a much more cost-effective and, I guess, time-efficient way. Getting things to market quickly is really kind of the key now. So it's a human-directed implementation, but it's heavily leveraging AI and technology for both internal and external benefit. We still guide it. We still own the responsibility. None of that goes away, but it gives us a faster and much more robust development experience. And one that's not necessarily measured on monetary scale is that it's fun. It's fun to work with these agents. It's fun to have an idea. You can tell it to git commit everything. You know what? Let's go and try something. I'll put it onto a certain task, let it go for 5 or 10 minutes, have a look at what it's like. I was doing other things in the meantime, so it's not wasted effort. And then if I don't like it, just undo those changes and have another crack at another path. So it lets you do a lot more exploration, which I think lets you iterate and get to a really great result in a way that previously has not been possible. So that's what we use internally, and that helps us stay lean and efficient and get great solutions out to clients quicker.